Hey folks, still trying to ramp through some videos here. I've got some time, Wednesday afternoon, October 1, 2025. I'm still in the Peel area. Finished the bushwalk and just trying to get some videos up while I'm out here. This one here is sort of past its best. It's a little bit of a shame, but I think we can get the message across with the flowers. And I guess what I'll point out with this one is it's taken me about half an hour to figure it out, going through the Wattle web key and eliminating species based on features. And just if you wanted any help, I just wanted to go through what I did. I put in the phylode width and I put in the phylode length. I said about 8 centimeters. I said about 4 mil or 5 mil for the width. So 80 mil for the length. The other thing I said was flowers in globular heads. And the other thing that's striking me about this guy, it's got that sort of Acacia elongata feature where the inflorescences aren't coming out very far from the stems. They're just sort of clustered closely to the stems. And as I look at this plant over and over and over and over again, I'm getting sort of very few heads per inflorescence and just clustered close to the stem. You know, I'm reading examples of some plants getting the racemes up to 5 centimeters and they got up to 25 heads and all that sort of stuff. And I'm just going, nah, I just don't agree with that for this guy. They're just clustered close to the stem. It's a bit confusing in some cases because you got these long bits going out sometimes and they've got a bit more head on them. But if you just look over the plant in a representative fashion by and large, you're just getting really low numbers of heads clustered close to the stem. The other thing is their height. They're all over this Peel area north of Bathurst, and they're rarely above, you know, 1 metre or 2. And the species I'm left with after I sort of eliminate the ones based on the features, I got down to about, I think, 15 species once I got put in New South Wales Central Tablelands. I'm rarely seeing them above 1 metre or 2. Or maybe the tallest one I've seen so far has been about 1.8 metres. And I reckon I've looked at about 50 different plants today, and on our bushwalk probably seen about another couple of hundred as we walk through the bush. And then finally, I checked the species and I saw that it had a lot of herbarium records all around Peel, focused on Peel. And it's Acacia dawsonii. That's what I've decided. It's a shrub to about 4 metres tall. Anywhere from half a metre to 4 metres tall. So I like the sound of that. It's got phyllodes to 11 centimetres long and I think about 7 mil wide. So 11 centimetres long or 110 mil and 7 mil wide. And I like the sound of that too. The other species I had to choose from, some of them were describing phyllodes with 2 to 5 glands. I think I looked at Acacia amina and Acacia gladiiformis, sort of a sword-shaped leaf one, which fits the bill for here. They're talking about 2 to 5 glands, and I just can't see that at all. So when I peel the leaves off, or the phyllodes off, just having a look, I might not be able to demonstrate this, they're just getting very fine, but what I'm finding is 1 gland down near the base. And it's not always easy to see, but I've seen it on about 3 or 4 leaves now. There's a gland down near the base there, and that's what's described for dawsonii as well. Just one, they just say 1 gland at base or near base. And after checking about 5 to 10 leaves, I think that's what I'm seeing as well. Oh, I can't quite get it. Yeah, there's a bit of a darkened structure there. With a hand lens, it's coming up as a really densely hairy gland, and it's a bit obscured. It's not very showy coming off the phylode there. Yeah, you might be able to just see that one if we pause it. There's a ring there at the base. So a very small gland at the base of the phyllote, and it's only got the one. It's got a mucro, it's got a tiny little mucro, and it's described as having a mucro. Just gonna have a look at that as well quickly. I'm in the predicament again where my phone battery is about to die, typical me. Some phyllotes I've looked at don't have a distinctive mucro, but some of them do. Maybe this one here. There's just a slight mucro on some of them. Very slight, I reckon. Maybe not always obvious. But we probably wouldn't hinge it on the presence of the mucro or the absence, but sometimes I did look at one leaf at least where there was a definite mucro, but it was only about probably 1 millimetre long or thereabouts. It does talk about the phyllotes having about 10 parallel veins with 1 or 2 being more prominent. I just wanted to check that out. Yeah, we can see those there. So about 10 veins, but 1 or 2 are more prominent. And maybe we can debate about that, and with a bit of anastomosing. So these phyllotial wattles, as you go further west, they start getting really tricky in some cases. But we can see a lot of venation there. And maybe the mid vein's a bit more prominent, and maybe some of the side ones are a bit more prominent too. That's discussed as well. And then we've got the inflorescences. Now they are a bit past their best, but you can still get the gist of it, I think. We've got some heads that are still in full cry. Just note how close they are to the stems. And what they're talking about is 2 to 9 heads in auxiliary sprays. So 2 to 9 heads. And it's hard to sort of get away with that as you just go from plant to plant, even if the heads are spent. So they're clustered very close to the stems. And that was one thing I was looking for when I just kept going through the different species of, like I said, I had 15 to 20 to go through, and I just randomly picked Dawsonii as about the 4th choice. And then I see the herbarium records around Peel, and that's good for me. There's a fair few herbarium records. There's not just one, there's about, 5 to 10 or so. So I was really happy with that. Pretty much right in the suburb, or the town of Peel. The flowers are a nice deep yellow, sort of in the middle of the spectrum. They're not pale at all. They're a really bright yellow. I'm not sure they would have been a lot prettier about a week ago or so. Again, these wattles, blink and you miss them, but people out here have been saying they've been having a really good season and have looked really beautiful. Apparently there's only 4 to 8 flowers in a head. That's a pretty bloody small number, getting like myrtifolia again and those ones. There's only 4 to 8 flowers in a head. I highly doubt I'm going to find any buds on these guys because the flowering's well and truly about finished. That's quite a low number, but we have seen that on some other wattles. Hard to tell from these sort of angles. I don't think I'm going to get any in the bud stage. I'll keep looking for a minute. Oh, I might just have one. Nah, it's spent. Oh, I think it's a spent head. Where's my fingers? Yeah, I think it might be a spent head. Yeah, anyway, that's what's described. 4 to 8 flowers. And the pod's described as about 7 centimetres long and I think about 3 mil wide. That's the pod. So the pods are going to be about 7 centimetres or so. So just a common one out in these parts. Now Dawsonii, it's got a pretty primarily New South Wales occurrence. It's just scattered up and down the tablelands. It's really common around Bathurst. It's really common around here. It's really common around the Armidale area. It's common around Candos, I can see, and I think it's common around Mudgee. And it's also common around the Canberra and Cooma areas as well. And in New South Wales, it looks like it's petering out around that Cooma Breadbow area. That's where it stops. Again, it just gets into Queensland. I'm saying this so often. It just gets into Queensland up through that Stanthorpe, Warwick area again. And it's only just in Queensland with a handful of records. And it goes down into Victoria around Albury there, and there's just a couple of clustered records in Victoria. I don't know my Victorian geography as well as I could, but there's a cluster of records northeast of Mount Beauty, a bit of a way off, and then there's a couple of clusters almost near the coast. They're sort of northeast of Bairnsdale and Orbost. That's what I can see on the herbarium map I'm looking at. So they're just a couple of clusters in Victoria only. So it's got a really strong New South Wales occurrence, this one. There is a description about the branchlets having a press tears. Well, let me pick that up again. A press tears in between resinous ridges. That's a really nice description. So we've got these oppressed tears. Oppressed tears sort of means hairs that are well and truly sort of pretty much fused to the stem and they don't spread out much from the stem. And it says they're in between these resinous ridges. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do justice to that, but that's what it's saying about this guy. So sometimes we can have these ridges on the stems and it looks like some hairs in between. So that's quite interesting. And when I look at the tips of this shrub, the stems are the branchlets are well and truly white. And it's not really pruniose with the white wax, it's got white hairs. So nice white oppressed tears, and then we might argue that they're resinous ridges in between. I'm going to have a look with my hand lens when I finish. So that's Acacia dawsonii. It's not one I'm strongly familiar with. I've been to the property I'm staying at down here many times, and I don't know if I've identified it before. Maybe I have, but I couldn't for the life of me remember it today. And I sat here for about half an hour with the Wattle key trying to figure it out. So that's what it can take sometimes. If you do go further west in New South Wales and you start collecting these guys, these phyllodeal ones, you will take a lot of time trying to work them out because they're not easy. They just get very difficult. Just remember the diversity we're dealing with. I didn't say at the start, this is called Dawson's Wattle or Poverty Wattle. It's called Poverty Wattle as well, and it's called Mitta Wattle, M-I-T-T-A. Poverty Wattle, maybe it refers to its sort of occurrence on these rocky upper hillsides. It's growing with Polyanthemos and Macrorinca and Blakeleyi on these sort of rockier soils, on these sort of higher ground rockier soils around here. Really, you know, easily over 1,000 plants I've seen today, like hundreds and hundreds in the Bushland Reserve. So they're very common. Some of them have died as well. I have figured out that these dead things here are from the bushwalker also, Acacia dawsonii. So there is some dieback going on too. This one over here, it's for some reason it's about to die. And it's in flower and it hasn't set fruit yet. So I don't know if that's a worry or if that's just a natural process.